All right, so we have a series, and we're asked which of the following is true. So, um, series converges absolutely, series converges conditionally, series converges but isn't conditional or absolute. That doesn't make logical sense. Or the series diverges. Okay, so first thing to note, right? We can figure out conditional convergence pretty easily, right? Um, Essentially, because this is alternating, the alternating series test is a super friendly test, right? So if you have an alternating series, right, where you have a -1 to the n, and then the term that's not alternating, right, this is the positive part, right? So if b sub n is decreasing, which this definitely is, and you could see that by simple inspection by picking bigger and bigger values of n, that this is getting smaller as the denominator gets larger. And if b sub n is eventually trending towards 0, which it absolutely will be, because when n is an infinity, this or when it is approaching infinity, this will be 0. Sorry, meant to 0. Then this thing is converging. So this thing definitely converges. Okay, so this piece, this alternating series definitely converges. The question is, so it's not this one, right? It definitely converges. The question is it absolute or conditional? The honest answer is that you can rule out absolutely pretty quickly because it's very easy to compare this uh, to this. This is a p series where p is a half and it diverges. This thing is the same series essentially. You could compare it officially using the limit comparison test. So you couldn't compare it using direct comparison because this is actually smaller than a divergent series. But if you did the limit comparison test, you're going to find that they behave the same. They also logically, intuitively would behave the same because they are essentially the same function, just with an extra +1 on the bottom. But if you did the limit comparison test, essentially what you would find if you did this, right, as n approaches infinity, you would end up finding that they end up being a 1 because you end up with this over this. Sorry, that's kind of a mess. And since they are the same degrees, this ends up being a 1, which means that they behave the same, which is not a shock. I think that's fairly intuitive. So they both diverge, which means this thing does not converge absolutely, and your answer is B. I went through a lot more steps there than I probably would have if I were just logicking through this myself. Again, you don't have to give the reason why on a multiple choice. Like, you don't have to say that it was the limit comparison test. I'm just kind of trying to walk you through what my brain would think while doing this.